Hi, this is George Norrie of Coast to Coast AM, and you are listening worldwide tonight to Nightwatch.
Listen. Hinges creak in doorless chambers, and strange and frightening sounds echo through the halls. Whenever candlelights flicker, where the air is deathly still, that is the time when ghosts are present, practicing their terror with ghoulish delight. There's no turning back now.
Just after sundown, when darkness creeps over the land, the dark figures lurk in the shadows, the fangs glisten in the moonlight, and the ghosts of the world become restless. We begin our journey. Join us as we travel into the world of the paranormal, the supernatural, and the bizarre. On Nightwatch, with your hosts, Todd Sheets, Chris Weisbach, and Hugh McClanahan. Nightwatch.
Hello, and welcome to Nightwatch. I'm your host, as always, Todd Sheets, here with Hugh McClanahan.
What's up?
Wayne Weisenant.
In the house.
No Chris.
Abducted again.
Abducted by Mexican jumping beans. Sent from Johnny Reed, who is also not here tonight.
He's on the reservation.
I guess he is, yeah. Terrible, terrible situation, ladies and gentlemen. Terrible. I tell you what, man, it's kind of crazy sometimes around here. I'm sure right now, whoever's playing the drinking game, I'm sure they're going to be quite trashed. But, really, Amanda? How long's she been on the line, Amanda?
She's only been there for like 2 seconds.
Completely unintentional.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hi, this is Maureen.
Hi. We are live on the air right now, and I tell you, we didn't even know you were there, so I'm really glad you're there. Maureen St. Germain is here with us, ladies and gentlemen, tonight, and I'm very excited. Maureen, welcome to Nightwatch.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Yay.
I'm so happy to be here.
We're happy to have you. We're very excited. Well, let's start by having you tell our friends worldwide tonight a little bit about yourself and about what you're doing.
Okay, so I'm an author. I am a transformational teacher. I'm a mystic. I'm a practical mystic. I'm a numerologist, and I have lived a pretty normal life and kept a lot of closet stuff going on. So, I worked in the corporate world, I raised a family, and after I finished all those, people kind of duties, I stepped out and exposed myself as a spiritual teacher. I taught the Merkaba meditation for about 20 years, traveling worldwide. I've taught all over the world, including Japan, Europe, the UK, Scotland, all over Canada and the US, Hawaii. I do lots of sacred journeys. I've got a couple of sacred journeys coming up, one to Scotland and one to France and Spain.
Wow.
And so my mission is to help people be the best they can be, but I'm also very tied to sacred geometry and grid work and work with the angelic realm and the dragons.
So what part of Scotland are you going to?
We're going to go to Glasgow, and then we're going to fan out from there. So we've got a pretty broad base going to a couple of the islands that have sacred sites, as many stone circles as we can get in, we'll go to Rosslyn Chapel, all those cool places.
What about Iona?
I don't know the answer. I'm not the organizer. I am one of the spiritual people on the trip, and so I don't know the answer. But it sounds like you know where it is.
Yeah.
How far is it from Glasgow?
Quite a bit.
Yeah.
We're probably not going to get there then. Maybe you should tell me about that.
Yeah.
Hugh is Mr. Scotland. Of course,
Yeah.
you could tell from his accent he's from there, and he goes back and visits quite often. They usually send him back as quickly as possible, but Hugh's one of the people who really got me started in all of this to begin with. I was always into the scary movies, and I was into the supernatural and the paranormal, and I started the radio show. But Hugh brought me into my first paranormal investigation group and actually started teaching me a lot of things about basically what it is to experience a lot of these things firsthand. So I owe that to you, Hugh. That was a good thing. And I've never been able to be normal since. Thanks. I appreciate it.
And I have to tell you that I led enough of a sheltered life that I didn't know my paranormal life was not normal.
Yeah.
Wow. That makes sense.
I had an inner dialogue going on all the time. My mother was very psychic. I remember coming home one time and telling her I wanted to be a majorette. And, growing up on the farm, that was like taboo. You weren't allowed to have lessons of this type. And before I could get it out of my mouth, she said, I've been thinking all day. If you still want to do that majorette thing, it'd be okay.
Yeah. Now, I noticed you said you were going to Rosslyn Chapel. I don't know if you'd heard or not, but the Holy Grail is supposed to be there.
Wow.
Interesting.
Yeah. That's. I didn't know that.
I've also heard that, it's very secular these days, and that groups can't do much. So we'll just show up and be grateful to be there.
Now, but with you and with your talents, your gifts, what do you think of that? I mean, they may try to kind of pull back on what they allow people to do. But with the gifts you have, when you walk in a location like that, is it not like a supercharged battery for you? Can you immediately connect with that?
Yes, I do. And yes, I do get messages all the time. When I was in a temple in Karnak, I was given a very specific meditation and a very specific chant to teach my group to. And I taught it to them. And then another time when we were at a different temple, I was told to use it. And we were at Abu Simbel. And I don't know if you know about Abu Simbel, but it's the giant-sized statues. And it's an island that's just below the Aswan Dam. And it kind of was relocated. Anyway, the place is quite the circus and very, very secular. And I wanted to do a ceremony in there, and my guide wanted to let me do the ceremony in there. And it was so circus-like, I couldn't bring myself to do it. And he insisted, and I argued with him. And this is a man that I'm very close to, my contract person in Egypt. And I finally said, okay. And I said to the group, okay, here's what you're going to do. And we had rehearsed ahead of time, so they knew this music. And we sang in harmony really, really, really softly. And the whole place turned into a church in an instant. And for the remainder of the time that we were on the island, every time I walked back into that specific temple, it was still very peaceful, very sweet energy, and amazing, holy atmosphere. So, but I have been told the groups get stopped at Rosslyn Chapel. So we'll see what happens. And I've gotten other messages. One time when I was in Peru, we traveled to a stone site that's relatively recent, just on the other side of the border in Bolivia. And it's supposed to be a portal. And I laid my back up against the portal, and I started to go through the rock right away. I could feel myself going right through the rock. And I don't know how long I stood there, but all of a sudden I realized, wait a minute, I've got, 25 people behind me waiting their turn, and they paid to come with me. I'm being, I'm hoarding here. So I immediately withdrew, and then I waited and laid down on a really big rock very close to this portal. And I said to the rock, I would like to continue my experience. And if it's possible, can I do that? And boom, I was right there again, right through the rock. And on the other side was a huge valley. And I knew I was not on this planet.
You're not in Kansas anymore, Toto.
Yeah. Really.
That's pretty incredible, actually. You know, and when you say secular, that's interesting to me as well. So I take it you mean by the secular terminology that, you know, these places used to be holy ground. They used to have a lot of spiritual connotations, but now due to tourism or whatever, or maybe even government intervention, they are now no longer as spiritual as they once were, and they're more just tourists and just flatlined.
Well, you make a very good case, and your words are very accurate, including all of the above. But rather than say the place has changed, the environment of the people have changed. And so the place is still sacred. But with people being, carrying on and joking around and yucking it up and, generally being a little bit disrespectful, their presence, doesn't utilize the space for its highest potential. So those people miss out by being silly, and those who recognize, wow, this is cool, and just kind of quiet themselves, they're going to get the cool experience. And many people do. One of the things that's really noticeable is in Egypt, practically everybody comes back with pictures of orbs. In I think it was about 1999 or 2000, orbs started showing up in people's photographs. And those orbs continue to show up. But when you go to Egypt, you're just about guaranteed. Now, I get orbs in all my pictures. When people take pictures of me, there's orbs all the time. But that's because of the energy I hold that's multidimensional. So I'm vibrating at a level that they're picking up. So my field is big enough that when they use a camera on me, they get that.
Let me ask you this, because orbs are a very touchy subject, and a lot of people... now, I've seen energy orbs. I have seen them. I've seen them with the naked eye, and I've also seen them in pictures. Amanda took some pictures at Catacombs years and years ago, if you remember, Hugh. And when she got the pictures back, there were orbs in there that had their own light source. They created a glow, and there was shadows cast from this light source. However, a lot of orbs, especially in a place like Egypt, you'd think would be dust and sand. I mean, you've got so much in the air, so much atmosphere there, that a lot of people, especially with some of the digital cameras today, with the poor filtering systems, you get a lot of that looks, it's just a refraction of light, basically.
I appreciate that, and I'm the first one to challenge these kinds of things myself, because I don't like being fooled either. But I can tell you that these are giant orbs and legitimate orbs. You go out to my blog, floweroflifeblog.com, and there's a lot of those types of photos. And there's a couple of photos with me where the orbs are literally moving, and you can see the movement in the way they photograph. And they're too big to be dust spots. And there's a picture of Egypt along those lines that I was describing, and it looks like snow. There's so many orbs. And at night, So.
Gotcha. I definitely, like I say, I've definitely seen both kinds, and it is hard to sometimes differentiate. But I mean, we've decided a long time ago from seeing them with our naked eye that they do exist. I think the problem is with when people are out in a graveyard and it's a little foggy, or there's some moisture in the air, and they take a picture and it looks like snow in the graveyard. That's basically, as a photographer and someone who's been in the film business for 28 years or whatever, I can tell you that there is a light refraction that happens in some of those cases. And I think those pictures are kind of squashing the legitimate ones. I think those pictures are kind of, so many people post those that a lot of people are on the internet, that a lot of people are going, that's doggone it, another one of those.
Yeah, you're totally right on, because, I saw someone give a presentation and half her pictures were fake. They weren't real orbs. And I felt the same way you did. I felt, I'm cheated here. But I have noticed in my iPad that I get this green dot. And I know it's got to be the iPad. It's just showing up on pictures I take randomly.
Wow.
It doesn't show up every time. So one of the things that I do is, as an author, my most recent book is called BE A GENIE. And it's using sacred geometry on how to manifest. And the benefit of using sacred geometry is twofold. Number one, there's a pure formula. And number two, you can prove that it's going to work by looking at the math, you know.
I really got excited when Amanda told me we were going to have a show about being a genie. I said, hey, I know Barbara Eden. I sat with her on the plane for about 6 hours.
Do you really?
I do, yes. I ended up, on my way back from Los Angeles one day, I ended up with Barbara Eden on the plane for about a 5.5 hour flight, and we had the best time, and she was the sweetest lady. She was my partner there in the seats. It was pretty great.
Wow. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I got to meet a genie. I said, man, I was trying to get her to grant me wishes the whole way home, but it just didn't work.
She should have wiggled her nose and got you home quicker.
I know. That's what I wanted. I was like,
no, that's the other one, isn't it?
That's Bewitched. Yeah, but Genie does the blink.
Well,
yeah, Genie does the blink.
That's right.
Yeah, that's the one. Sorry, I had to tell that story just because it kind of tied in, and that's the only time I'll ever, I think, on this show get to tell that wonderful Barbara Eden story. She's a wonderful lady. Wonderful lady.
That's very sweet, though. It's very cool. When I was in meditation, when I began working on this material, I asked if I could have the name. And I asked about this, like in conversation, gee, I wish I knew the name of this stuff I'm working on for a book. And then the next time I was in meditation, it came right in. So that's how I knew it was supposed to be about a genie. But there's the other side of the genie, and that is like letting the cat out of the bag. When you let the genie out of the bottle,
right?
You get the experience of all the secret knowledge is suddenly out there and could run loose. But the whole idea is that's when you have the power of conscious creation.
Now, tell us the difference between a genie and a jinn.
Well, the jinn is the guy that you want to worry about that has an agenda. But that whole mythology around the jinn was created so that people would be afraid of esoteric knowledge. So the idea of a jinn being harmful and being able to give you information or to teach you something, was dangerous, because if you learned the sacred arts, or the secret arts as they might have been called, then you would become more powerful than the leaders. So that was a myth that was made up to get people to limit their thinking and limit their actions. But once people learn something, it's never gonna undo, and that's what your show is all about. The more people learn about what's really going on and what's happening, the more they are going to question something else that sounds fishy to them, because they're going to get a sense of, wait a minute, that doesn't add up.
Right. I had read the jinn was a spirit that could go either negative or neutral, and that they were like the rulers of the genies. Like they would gain great power, and then like certain groups, almost like you have political groups in the world, each one would be led by a different ruler. There were political groups of genies or different sects of genies that would be led by these jinn, and that's why I was kind of confused. I'm like, that's weird, because it kind of almost sounded like a jinn was a genie that gained great power. So it was kinda...
As long as you don't mix them with tonic.
You're so funny, Hugh. Oh my.
Well, a true Scotsman, it sounds like.
Very much. Is that mythology? How did that even come about, do you think?
Well, I think the mythology is real, but I do see it as a myth, and I do see it as a method to control people. It's like any other thing. The mass media tries desperately to convince people of certain things, and people are looking around shaking their heads. I can tell you that I've heard stories from people that I just know around and about town. And for example, one woman told me that her son told her that a particular tragic event was a put-up job, that it wasn't even real. And I said, how does he know that? Now, I knew it. I believed it. But I'm shocked that, some 19-year-old is telling his mom this. And he said, well, it's all over the internet. Everybody knows this. And you begin to realize that people are really more willing to see the truth today than they were 10 years ago.
maybe because of like people like yourself, shows like ours, television shows, people like on the History Channel have been helping a lot. I think when they do these programs based on, these legends and mythologies that are proven to be based in fact, I think it's really opened a lot of that because let's face it, even 10 years ago or even 8 years ago, people were afraid to talk about things like this. It was always in hushed tones. Like they may tell you if they know you really, really well, but otherwise they're not going to talk about it in the public. But now I think it's become more acceptable to talk about things that are different, that are paranormal or superstitious, supernatural, things like that.
We still have those out there. They're still afraid, though.
They are. There's still a lot of people afraid just because maybe they're involved. I think a lot of that has to do with, in America anyway, like I know if you're a part of the Baptist church and you start talking about things like this, suddenly they want to bring you in and talk to the pastor about, being possessed. So they don't,
and a lot of people don't like having their reality challenged, and when you do that, they automatically shut down. They just can't.
That's true. That's true.
And I think that's probably the biggest reason that our society right now isn't more forthcoming, because the mainstream media still is slow at adopting recognition of the real reality that we live in. Think about it. I didn't learn anything about quantum physics when I was in high school, and quantum physics was created in 1901. The very first quantum experience occurred in 1801 by Thomas Planck, and it was not Niels Bohr, but another physicist who explained it in his PhD thesis in 1901. So this information's been around for a long, long time, and we should have learned it in school. Did you guys learn about quantum physics in school?
No.
Not until university.
Exactly. So one of the things that has been somehow withheld from people is this slow business of knowledge, and what's happening is we're having what I will call a catapult effect, and so people are acquiring knowledge on their own, and they're seeking and learning on their own and acquiring knowledge and talking with each other, listening to shows like this, and they're going to get a huge leap in consciousness as a result of it, and it's going to be outside of the system. So you guys want to play and come up with something that we can use the genie material on, and I'll show you how it works?
Sounds good.
Sure.
Yeah.
So you have to name something that you want. It can be tangible or intangible.
Okay. Name something that we want. Tangible or intangible. A Batmobile.
I knew that was coming.
It's tangible, kind of. But kind of intangible at the same time.
But you already have Batmobiles. It's not going to work for
No,
that.
no,
You've got 10,000 Batmobiles.
I want one I can sit in.
Oh, okay. There we go. More specific.
I want a Batmobile to drive.
There
Come on
you go.
now.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, so that's really what you want? Are you serious? Because we'll do it.
Yes. Yes. Let's do it.
Can't you think of something a little more? Never mind. All right.
I mean,
how about no debt?
That's frivolous. Okay, let's talk about it. And that's totally cool. You could also have a request that would be totally like, I need it. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter to me.
Oh, I need it.
He needs it.
Right.
You just don't understand.
All right. Here we go. This system is based on knowing what it is that you want, but not stopping there. So now that you have the Batmobile and you're driving it around town, imagine you're in a scenario that proves you have it. Now, I already know the answer to this, but I want you to tell me what you think that is.
Well, I do these things for kids, these charity events for kids where I wear the bat suit, and I would probably be at one of those, and I would be able to drive my Batmobile there and get out of the Batmobile in front of all those cool kids who are there, who we do these charity events for them and to help.
Okay, that proves you have it. I want him to go after that.
Okay. After I prove I have it? Oh, man, I'm lost.
Yeah, most people are, and that's part why the system is so magical. You would imagine that somebody's taken your picture with you and those kids.
Yeah.
And you're showing that picture to somebody that doesn't believe you actually have the Batmobile.
Okay.
Some friend, some relative. Who would it be? You have to give me a name.
Hugh McClanahan.
Okay, but he's going to know you have it because he works with you.
That's probably true. Okay. Let me think. Someone else. Gil Gerard.
Okay,
Yeah.
so this is somebody who doesn't expect you to be getting such a vehicle.
Right.
Okay, so you have a conversation with
Gil, he's the guy. He's an actor. He's a friend of ours that played Buck Rogers, and I think he would get a kick out of the fact that I had a Batmobile. But he doesn't know, and he wouldn't know. He'd have no way of knowing unless I.
That's perfect. Okay,
Yeah.
so you're on the phone or you're in person?
Well, let's be on the phone.
Okay, and you say to Gil, I sent you an email with the picture of me and the kids on my latest gig. And he's going to say, yeah, I saw it. And then what do you say?
I said, did you notice the Batmobile?
And what does he say?
I did see that there. I did see that Batmobile sitting there in that picture.
And then what do you say?
That bad boy's mine.
And that's all you have to do, believe it or not. And you may even hear what he says next.
You got to be kidding me. No way. Or he may say something a little more racy than that.
You photoshopped that.
Okay, so that's all you do. Over and over in your mind, you run that movie. Now, you'll notice we're all laughing about it because there's so much joy around it. There's so much outrageousness around it. And that will bring it in really fast. You will be amazed at how quickly that will materialize. And, you know, you could have somebody from somewhere drop it in your lap. Or you could have someone who does cars and says, hey, I heard about you and the kids and I wanted to do this and blah, blah, blah. You just don't know how that's going to come together.
Wow, that's really weird because about a week ago, I got an email from a guy who told me he had a Tumbler Batmobile, the newest version there from Dark Knight. And he said he thought of me, and he had gotten a hold of it, and his buddy was selling it. You know, they built this together. They were selling it on eBay for around $950,000. He said, let me have it for $500,000. I said, thanks for the bargain. So maybe I should have asked for the money, and then I could have got the Batmobile.
Here's what you do. You send, you know, this is again, you stay in that same ballpark. You see yourself getting it anyway. You know, maybe some rich guy or gal will buy it and hand it to you. That actually happened to one of my clients. This kid wanted to go to some concert. He was like 8 years old or 9 years old, and he was wanting to go to some concert at a big outdoor arena called Alpine Village in the Chicago area. And the mom had the money to get the tickets and stayed online on the phone lines for an hour trying to get tickets. They sold out. She didn't get them. The kid said to his mom, teach me that stuff that you learned. And so she said, I can't do it for you, but I can teach it to you. So she took him through a process, and he went to school the next day and told all his friends he was going to the concert, and they laughed at him. Then he came home crying, and she said, don't tell anybody. Just see yourself at the concert. So a couple of weeks go by, and they see that the local radio station is going to give away tickets, and it's going to be at a local bar. So they show up at the bar the day of the concert for the giveaway. The bartender says, no, we're not doing that. We don't have any information from them about that. They're not coming. But they stuck around anyway. And the DJs showed up, and they said, oh, yeah, we forgot to tell you, but we come here all the time, so we didn't think you'd mind. They give away the tickets. All three pairs get given away. The kid doesn't win. The kid's just sitting there going, I don't get it. I did everything I was supposed to do. And somebody walked up to him and handed him the tickets and said, I can tell you want these more than I do. And he had to take the stub of the tickets to school to prove to his friends that he actually was there.
Oh, that's cool.
It is cool. And that's how amazing this thing is. This process is built on a very solid formula of sacred geometry, and it's based on the premise that you can hold more than one version of the reality in your awareness if you say that that's okay. Now, you and I do that all the time when we look at a TV that has picture-in-picture. We could line up a bunch of TVs on a board and look at 5 different TV shows like my kids did in college. Each time we allow ourselves to look at the version of the reality that we know is real, you don't have this, and then the version of the reality that says you do have it, and you start evoking all that laughter and all that conversation, it shows the universe that that's true. There's all kinds of studies on this, but it is also true that the mind cannot tell the difference between a belief that's based in the reality and a belief that's based in imagination. And there's 2 proofs to this. Number 1, when you're in the movies, you suspend disbelief. Something shocking happens and you jump. something funny happens, you laugh. So now in the advanced version, you don't stop at having the car. You go to the thing after you had the car and you've done some stuff with it, because that proves in the conversation, when you have this conversation with your friend, it changes the reality because you have anchored it in. So the study I want to quote is a Russian study where they took 3 sets of basketball players and they asked them to practice an extra half an hour. The first group did live practice at the foul line. The second group imagined they were practicing at the foul line. And the third group did nothing for the half an hour that they were supposed to do this. At the end of the study, the first group increased their percentages of making baskets 25%. The second group increased their percentage 24%. Third group, no difference. The mind cannot tell the difference. So you're having that conversation in your mind. Every time you get in your car and you're going to an event with the kids, pretend you're driving it and how cool it feels. And then go back to that mental conversation. Because when you hear your friend say it back to you, no way. And you could feel a shift, right? Did you feel your body go, yeah, baby, it's mine?
Yeah. I guess I could feel that. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's just say you'd never be out it.
I know. I'd be in that sucker all the time.
We'd never have a show again.
You guys have to bring the microphone to the car.
You'd have a microphone in the car.
That's right. I would imagine it there, and it would be so.
So you put it out there because it is possible for someone to do that, to buy that car and decide to give it to you.
If there's any rich friends of Maureen listening right now, I need a Batmobile.
We'll fix it real quick.
Okay, well, what about Hugh?
Yeah, what about you, Hugh? He's drawing a blank. You should
contemplating something that you really, really want.
I don't think so. Johnny first. Not Johnny.
Who are you calling
Johnny?
Wayne?
Does he look Native American to you? All right, Wayne. What are you thinking, Wayne?
To be honest, I would have to say there isn't really anything that I want. As far as anything materialistic, I'm not.
You're out of your mind.
You're intangible. I had somebody come in that said they wanted to achieve their ascension.
He's lying to you because I know if someone offered him a suit from the Godzilla movies, he'd be all over it.
No, I would take that.
Yes,
no, you're
yes.
right. I would take that.
Okay, so here's something else. Sometimes we're so satisfied with where we're at that we're not, expanding our consciousness. And maybe the thing that you really want is esoteric or spiritual, and maybe you're not, going to say it on the radio or something. I don't know. But there's got to be something that you'd really like to manifest that you don't have.
How about a script
on your bucket list?
Yeah, how about my writer's block go
away?
That would be nice.
Finish your script. That'd be really nice.
Wayne, you're the one with writer's block?
Oh, yes.
Okay. All right. Very good. All right. It's done. Is it a play or a movie or a book?
It's a movie.
Okay. Do you know the name of it yet?
Yes, actually, it's an anthology, but there's 4 stories in it, and I'm working on the second story right now.
Okay. All right. So they're all done. All of them. And we're just going to, you can give it a fictitious name so you can play with me. Okay? So what would you call it for fun? Just for fun. You don't have to be giving me the real name.
Oh, we can call it by the real name. It's Meeting Mr. Right.
Meeting Mr. Right?
Yes.
All 4 segments are done. What's new and different that proves that has already occurred?
We had a premiere.
There you go. We had a premiere.
See, this is the thing. You will sit there and spin in your wheels, but your friends can see it right away. And this happens in every time I teach it. And so those of you who are listening, if you get stuck, just teach it to your friends and then let them coach you when you get to this point. Because everybody wants to call on their friends because they don't see it. And the reason you don't see it is because you don't give yourself permission to have it. So it's a premiere, a big event. You're there. Are you going to be dressed up? Are you in jeans? What's going on?
I'm a backwards ball cap and t-shirt kind of guy.
Okay. So, but your buddies are going to make you put on some nice stuff,
Good luck.
Yeah. We've had premieres before. It never happened.
All right. Well, at least it'll be a clean T-shirt.
There you go.
Hopefully. All right. So you're at the premiere. People are there. Everyone's excited. You turn to somebody and have a conversation. Who are you going to talk to?
I guess it'd be Todd.
Probably.
Okay. All right. And you say to Todd,
why is everybody walking out?
see, that's the kind of talk that keeps you from finishing.
No. I would say, wow, I'm really pleased with everybody's expression. Everybody's enjoying it.
I don't believe you. Come on. If you're excited people are there, you're not going to talk like that.
Well, they really liked the first one you did.
They did. They did like the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to stop. We're going to come back to you, Wayne. I want to tell you something. There was a guy in a class, and he said he wanted to work for the Miami Dolphins. And I said, who are you going to tell? And he said, my mom. How's it going to go? On the phone. And I said, okay, I'll pretend I'm your mom. You be you. And I said, ring, 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 hi, son. And he says, I can't say it. And I said, why? And he said, because you're recording it. There were 100 people in the audience, and we were recording it for a presentation that we were doing. And I said, well, clean up your language and tell me. And he said, okay, Mom, I'm working for the effing Dolphins. And I said, okay. And what does your mom say back? No effing way. And I stood there and said, does your mother talk like this? And he said, yes. That makes it real. So now let's go back to you, Wayne. How do you talk? How does Todd talk? What do you say to Todd?
Wow, I don't
bleep,
know.
Bleep, 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 bleep.
Yeah, there you go.
It's an FCC compliant
yeah,
show.
Yeah, we exactly. You know what?
Yeah.
I don't.
That's
I'm
cool.
kind of lost.
That's totally cool. You know the words. They're all 4 letters. Whatever. You let the whole stream out. And he says, there's a lot of people around here. You might want to clean that up. Or something. What does he say back? What would you say back, Todd?
I'd probably say
After
dude.
he just lets out this, like, holy crap.
The word dude is so expressive. You can say dude in so many ways. Like it could be in awe, dude, or it could be in shock, dude. Because so dude would probably be what I'd say. And then I'd look at him and kind of be like, I told you things would be awesome. That's kind of how I talk. So.
Okay. So you hear him say that. And what do you say back?
If he said, dude, I would have to say sweet.
Now, I know there's a lot of what I will call self-doubt racing in the background on your creativity. You've got this gift. You've got all this talent. Obviously, you have talent because so many people like the first one. But the only thing keeping you from finishing this is you see in that movie. Make that movie of your mind and play it in your head all the time. Every time you think, oh man, I should be doing this work. And I'll tell you something else. You can even ask yourself a question. Why am I such a great writer? How did I get this done? Because
Have
only
Amanda
the
do
guy
it.
who's already completed
There we go.
can ask that question.
Well, I have to say, though, part of the thing with Wayne is Wayne will come up with a brilliant concept and a brilliant idea, and he'll get started on it, and then he'll double guess himself 15 times. And that, I think, is the negative influence I wanted to ask you about. Because how can you find a way to block outside or negative influences that would take the purity of what you're trying to do away from you?
I think you have to take time and write all the negative stuff down. Take 10 minutes and write down all the negative crap. I'm afraid I'm a bad writer. I'm afraid I'm going to fail. I'm afraid I'm going to run out of ideas. I'm afraid if I finish this idea, I won't have any more good ideas. On and on and on. Get it all out and keep writing and then set it aside for a few hours. The next day, you may have a few more. Add to the list. And then write an antidote to every single one. So I'm afraid I'm going to run out of ideas. The answer to that is, yeah, but I always seem to come up with good ideas when I need them. And you keep going back and forth with the whole thing. And when it's all done, you throw away the negative list or burn it or shred it or whatever. Get rid of it. And you keep the good list. And that will help you clear all that negative stuff out. It's a really simple exercise. It's very, very powerful. And I have a gift for people, actually, a free download that has some very similar tools in it. And it's on a website that we set up just for this purpose. It's Genie System. That's right, geniesystem.com. So if you go to that, you'll see a free download. And it talks about how a woman who had lost everything, she was flat out broke. I mean, she even went one day to the grocery store to try and buy diapers and didn't realize she didn't have enough money in her bank account and had to put diapers back. Can you imagine how humiliating that might have been? Anyway, one day, her husband's iPad was stolen. And he didn't tell her for 3 days because he was so embarrassed and so upset. He finally tells her. She asks him where. Now, this is New York City, guys. She went to the store owner. This guy was a filmmaker. And she said to him, my husband was here making a film. He was in your shop. There's only two possibilities of what happened to that iPad. Either somebody on your staff stole it or a customer took it. And I'm wondering if you would be willing to talk to your staff and explain to them that, this was his personal iPad. We're just a simple couple. He's under contract to write the story. It's not like he has a lot of money or a lot of resources or a big budget. The guy who owned the store decided to give the karma lecture to his staff the next day. Day after that, he called the woman to tell her he had their iPad. Wow. Who returns an iPad?
That's awesome.
Someone with a good conscience.
Yeah, well, someone that should have never taken it in the first place.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, that's right. And so, this is what I'm saying. You ask the question, how do you get rid of that negative self-talk? And that's the way you do it. You give that negative self-talk a voice. And here's why it's important to give that negative self-talk a voice once and for all. It will get out of your head and on a piece of paper, and then you can get rid of it. But before you do, you answer every single thing. Because if let's say you're trying to lose weight. Lots of people try to lose weight. If you're eating bonbons and trying to lose weight, there's a disconnect here. And you're going to have fear come up. And you're not going to know where the fear came from because you're going to mask it. You're not going to know why you're afraid. So when you put it on paper and then you start writing the opposite, the antidote as I call it, write in another list, 1 through 15 or 1 through 50. When I did this exercise with that woman, she called me the next day. She said, I thought of 3 more, which cracked me up because, it didn't really matter. But that once she unhooked from all the front end negative thoughts, then the ones that were hiding underneath came through. So that exercise will clear them out.
That's very cool. And that's over at geniesystem.com if you want something similar, guys. Free download for our listeners tonight from all around the world. Go to geniesystem.com and check it out. And before we go, Maureen, because we're running low on time here, and this is such a fascinating talk, I hate to cut it short. It's not really short, but it's the time we allotted, but I hate to cut it.
Well,
it's so good.
You know what? Because I was missed, she'll have to come back and start with me next time.
That's right. And you know what? Once you're on Nightwatch, you're part of the family, Maureen, so you're always welcome here. That's the way we work.
Thank you.
But before we go, let's get any other information out for people. Any of our friends worldwide, do you have a normal website? Is this the only website you have? Kind of give us
No,
yeah.
I have a normal website with my name, Maureen St. Germain, MaureenStGermain.com, MaureenStGermain.com. And you can get all kinds of cool tools and tips, lots of information, lots of good stuff. And you can buy the book, Be a Genie, for Kindle. You can buy it at Amazon, anywhere you want.
Wow, that's really cool. That's awesome. Well, Maureen, I want to thank you for coming on the show, taking time out of your day to enlighten us and our listeners, our friends worldwide. I know they've enjoyed it. They had to as much as we have. We've just had a great time.
Thank you. I did too. You guys are awesome.
Well, thank you. We can't wait to talk again.
Sounds good.
Good night.
Good night.
Wow, guys. What do you think of that?
Really good.
Some good stuff. That's some good stuff. I'm like over here going, wow, man.
Can't wait to see your Batmobile.
Yeah.
I'm ready, dudes. I am so ready. I'm going to be cruising around in that thing. It's going to be like, here I am driving down the road.